An embarrassing affair. I had forgotten the wonder of it all, the wonder that came with exploring and exploration. I wanted to show everyone my findings, but instead I lost sight of the fun of exploring on my own, being enthralled in something you love so much that it does not matter how lonesome you are, being struck by the wonder of it all. I'd be struck these days, but I've grown so obsessed over showing people my findings, I forgot to venture further into the cave of wonders. So that is when I closed tours. Nobody said a thing. Nobody, not a wink. I decided the archival library needed a good dusting, and all I'd have to do is fall back in love with finding wonders, was to keep searching. For as the diggers kept digging, they kept finding more tunnels. By torchlight, the diggers and I, we'd find whole hallways of books. Books of spells, books of recipes. There were several dozen books covering the whole saga of these lands, as far as explorers dared to date. I found one colonist's journal dating back to 1674. I found a book of home remedies by the infamous Martha Corey before she perished with her husband under those stones of weight, for they had been declared by the parishioners to be witches. I kept finding treasure after treasure. Even the diggers could only show enthusiasm for their paychecks. Money alone interested them. I found a certain isolation as we recovered secret library after secret library, tomb after tomb. The payload was coming straight from the university, and I myself funded my own ventures on my inheritance. Left in an orphanage till I came of age, my uncle sent a man to give me a notice of an account he built for me. An uncle I never knew I had, for the orphanage could not get those subsidies if us children knew we had fortunes or relatives we could sway to adopt us. It was a challenging upbringing, but now I know the solace of wonder, the solitude involved with exploration. For as I'm sure the great navigators of the past shared in my tormented loneliness, I had a renewed wonder the more I dug and dug with the diggers, until one day the university sent me an apprentice for my field. The Archaeological Society gave her great promising reviews. I was excited to have a fellow scientist on board, and I met her at the docks. Her ship arrived sharply on time. As soon as my eyes even glanced at her, I knew there would be trouble. Not caused by her, good heavens, no, for she was calloused by experience, smarter than some of my own past professors. However, I found her so attractive, my own intelligence seemed to subside whenever I interacted with her. I said really dumb things around her like a stuttering schoolboy. It was not going to be easy to look at her beyond her striking beauty and her charm, I must say. She had an enthusiasm I had never seen before for history, archaeology, and the social sciences, too. I had never met a woman so glaringly passionate for the same subjects I found myself ensnared in. Her name was Beatrice. "So, Miss Fleur, I must say, watch your step. This next part of the cavern the diggers won't go past." She looked at me with a wonder that melted my heart. "For they've grown superstitious about these caves," I added. She obliged and turned up her propane lantern, I stepped down, and then she did, till we reached the last place dug. So as you see, the diggers won't go past here. No amount of money will persuade them to dig anymore. I had to fire a few and keep some on call, since they won't do their jobs. You reckon 2 people could man this dig without experience in digs? She said, with a lovely air of pure wonder. Well, I have observed the diggers, how they do their jobs. I can instruct a few new employees, but it won't be easy. It'd be easier to teach you, and I could help you with equal labor, but I don't know if you're willing. She had a twinkle in her eye. Yes, Mr. Beckham. Yes, please do. We started right away, and I taught her everything I knew. The university had bought the land, a mere 10 acres. I tried to tell them to buy more, but their budgeting accountants would not budge. It was 2 weeks in when we had fallen in love. For I had kept my distance emotionally. I had also fallen for Miss Fleur very easily, as you might have guessed, but I dared not act on it. It happened one dig when we were tired and out of fuel. She asked me to hold her, as we had no light and she was afraid of the dark. The rest I shall keep private. I lit a match, and then we found the tunnel. We had only dug 2 feet into a wall when it had collapsed on our feet. It was packed dirt, not erosion, not earth, but dirt that had been placed there and packed in long ago. The tunnel once revealed when we came back to with full fuel. We reached its end only to find a singular wooden table. Now mind you, this was no ordinary wooden table, for below it there was a box. On the table were stacks of gold bars. Dare we even tell the university? I asked with greedy eyes. She said, These gold bars will arouse some suspicion. We must turn these in for a handsome payload, if nothing but academic honors. This will set us up for life. So we did the duty. We took the gold by the loads and loads it took. It took us 2 days to retrieve it all out of those caverns. We hid it in a carriage and brought them back to Harvard the following week. Now, when we found the gold, I told the Dean of Sciences, we also found this box. We carefully opened it. It had a scroll in German, about 5 pages worth of text. We will need your best German translator as soon as possible. Done. I can't believe there was this much gold. These bars have to be over 300 years old. How on earth did you know to find it? The dean twisted his mustache. We didn't. It was merely by accident. Beatrice and I had laughed, for it was by accident. Beatrice was, however, sore afterwards that I was given full credit, and to be frank, I was sore as well. I told her that once they translate that scroll and give us tenure in the society, we can probably start our own school somewhere in the country. It was a dream of ours. She was comforted by this, and I told her that I'd fight for her credit. Unfortunately, this never happened. Beatrice and I got ill. She worse than myself. It wasn't but a month later that she perished to pneumonia that I somehow fought off. The woman I had grown to love so much, gone without a trace. I would see to it that she got her credit, but of course the university never allowed such recognition for female scientists. It angered me so. By then, I had gotten a German translation of the scroll discovered alongside the gold. It said this: "Whomever findeth this gold, be wary of what information you're given. Be wary of those who discover with you, and beware of spirits past." "Interesting," I said. "Beatrice would have found this fun." I said this all in my stoic grief. The translator left, and then came the dean. "Well, I wanted to ask you about Beatrice. What of her? You never wished to credit or see her, or even acknowledge her existence before her untimely death." "I'm so sorry for your loss, Mr. Beckham. But there's a rumor that... Oh, I don't know what good this will do, but... There's been a rumor that there never was a Beatrice Fleur. We have no record of appointing you an apprentice, and well... Some of us are worried for your sanity. I taught her, and for what? No credit to be given to her. I nursed her, and for what? She died. I buried her, and for what? You to tell me I'm a madman." "I'm very sorry, Mr. Beckham. We have just no proof she exists. The sheriff has no record of her living anywhere here in Salem." "I simply will not take this. You can send for some diggers to dig up her grave if you all insist on such nonsense. I bet it's all to discredit the work we've done, the work we did together." I slammed my door after leading the dean, of all people, my very own boss, out of my office. I must have been mad. 2 days passed by. A disgusting rain did come and flood the caves that we had dug. My home was now surrounded by mud. Diggers were working tirelessly at her grave. Those bastards. I ought to have shot them on sight. It was late and stormy, and I thought it best to sink into some bootleg liquor and jazz records. It was all I could do to ignore those dastardly torches I could glimpse from my fogged-up windows. Finally, I had drunken into a stupor to wake up the final next morning and find the dean at my door. A doctor was next to him. My hangover persisted so much I almost rejected my own boss, but the doctor quickly gave me something to calm my nerves. "Mr. Beckham, you're going to be shocked. All we found in Beatrice's grave was a portrait. A portrait just merely of a woman. Is this who she looked like?" And it indeed looked like her. But I could not help but shout, "Is this some sick joke to rob me of my findings? Go ahead, take all the credit. I don't care anymore." "Now, I've been quite patient, Mr. Beckham. However, I cannot stand by and let you insult us this way. All the gold has been put into your salary. All the credit has been given to you. We are genuinely concerned, dear man." I sat on my bed listening. "We pored through our records, and we wanted to tell you who this Beatrice Fleur was," the dean finally said, calmer and seeming to have an authentic worry for my mental health. His words "was," not "is," hurt my very heart as he spoke them. He explained he was not a believer in ghosts, but that he thinks that the caves, now flooded, had Jimson weed roots all through the passages I had explored. It explains the fear and superstitions of the diggers. Perhaps it explains why I only buried her portrait, why we both fell ill. I guess it had just been me. It was found to have been taken out of archives near a certain journal of Martha Corey, the wife of the persecuted Giles Corey, who wrote of his cousin visiting from abroad. I couldn't face this reality, for Beatrice seemed so real. That portrait just brought her to life, I suppose. I relinquished my freedom to the doctor, who has given me experimental treatment after treatment, regression, hypnosis, tonics of all kinds. I suppose it could have been a ghost to be so real. As a man of science, I imagined that deadly cousin of nightshade, the Jimson weed roots, which were all through those caves, could have caused me to hallucinate. Perhaps this is the very weed that caused such a panic and stir back in the 1690s onward. The witch trials themselves could have easily been caused by this hallucinogenic plant. I have a colleague who is a botanist. He confirmed the potency of the Jimson weed. My heart felt so much shame and embarrassment. It is the 1940s now, and a great war is upon us. I still wonder what those flooded caverns might hold. What secrets might endure secret.